It started subtle. Just a tiredness, a deep, bone-weary drag that settled into my shoulders and behind my eyes. For weeks, it felt like I was wading through thick water, everything just a bit muted, a bit off. I live in Black Creek, you know. Just outside the main town, nestled deep in the Appalachians. It's quiet here. Always has been. My family's been here generations, on my grandfather's side especially. You get used to the quiet. But this wasn't the good kind of quiet. This was a draining quiet. Like something was leaching the sound out of the air. I kept telling myself it was stress, work, the long winter. Anything but what it felt like. Then came the door. It was a Tuesday, maybe Wednesday, late afternoon. I'd just gotten home from my shift at the old hardware store. And I really had to pee. You know that feeling? Just a desperate scramble for the front door, fumbling with the keys. I finally got it open, burst inside, and headed straight for the bathroom. Except the bathroom door was closed. Locked. Seriously? I mumbled, annoyed. My sister, Clara, must be home, I figured. She always forgets to unlock it. Clara? Open up. It's urgent. I rattled the knob. Nothing. I knocked again, harder this time. Clara, please. Then, slowly, the knob turned. The door pulled inwards. Just a sliver at first, then wider. But there was no Clara. No one. Only a feeling. A cold, expansive presence that wasn't human. And I saw it, just for a flicker. A shimmer, like heat haze off a summer road, but white. It was tall, too tall for Clara, and it just dissipated as I stared, right there in the dim light of the hallway. Like smoke. I blinked. The bathroom was empty. Completely empty. The air was colder in there. I stood for a second, my bladder forgotten, just staring at the empty shower curtain, the folded towel. My heart was thudding. Hello? I called out, my voice thin. Nothing. I tried to tell myself it was the light, a trick of the eyes, the desperate need to empty my bladder playing games with my tired brain. It had to be. I used the bathroom, my mind racing, trying to rationalize it. It had to be nothing. Just exhaustion. About 20 minutes later, Clara's truck rumbled up the gravel driveway. I heard her kick off her muddy boots at the back door. She came in, dropped her keys on the counter. Hey, you just get home? She asked, grabbing a glass of water. I stood there, watching her, a knot tightening in my stomach. Yeah, I said, trying to sound casual. You were out, right? She nodded, chugging her water. Been at the old mill with Dad all day. Why? I looked from her, a perfectly solid, normal person, to the closed bathroom door. And then I felt it. A chill, raising the hairs on my arms. The kind of cold that crawls right into your bones. It wasn't just tiredness. Something had opened that door. And it wasn't Clara. The door incident burrowed into my mind. Every creak of the old house, every shadow, felt, watched. I started looking online, late at night, typing in things like, white figure in house, or, phantom door opener. Just desperate for a rational explanation, anything to shut down the cold dread that kept icing my blood. Most of it was nonsense, ghost stories, or flickering webcam footage that looked fake. I tried to dismiss it, really. Tell myself I was letting my exhaustion get the better of me. But the feeling of being watched, that constant low hum of unease, wouldn't go away. It clung to me like the Appalachian fog itself. Then the dreams started. Not regular dreams, but vivid. Too vivid. I was walking, always walking, through a landscape that felt ancient and wrong. Like the deepest woods around Black Creek, but warped, twisted into something almost alien. Everything was muted, too, like my waking life. Gray light, the air thick and heavy with a strange, earthy smell, mixed with something sharp, almost metallic. The trees were skeletal, their branches reaching like gnarled fingers. And there was this fog. A low, rolling mist that clung to the ground, obscuring everything beyond a few feet. I could feel the cold seeping through my worn boots, damp against my skin. In one of these dreams, I found myself holding something. It was small, spherical, and glowed with an internal, pulsing white light. Like a ball of static electricity, but contained. It thrummed in my palm, a low vibration that traveled up my arm, making my teeth ache. I tried to put it down, but it stuck to my hand. It felt warm at first, then hot, then it started to sting. Like a million tiny needles pricking my skin, all at once. The light intensified, flickering wildly, and I could hear a sound now, a high-pitched whine that seemed to come from inside my own head. Panic seized me. This wasn't right. This wasn't natural. The ball grew brighter, hotter, the stinging unbearable, and the whine became a shriek. I tried to drop it, to fling it away, but my hand was locked shut, clamped around the searing, buzzing thing. My breath caught in my throat. I squeezed my eyes shut, desperate for it to stop, for it to let go. I woke up gasping, my heart hammering against my ribs like a trapped bird. My sheets were tangled around me, sweat slicked my skin. My hand, it was still tingling. A distinct, buzzing sensation, like I'd just stuck my finger in an electrical socket. I squeezed my eyes tighter, trying to dislodge the lingering image of the glowing ball. And then, for a split second, before my vision fully cleared, I saw it. Just for an instant, a faint, ghostly imprint of that small, white ball, hovering inches above my outstretched palm. It faded almost immediately, like a memory dissolving in sunlight. But the tingling? That stayed. It was still there, a phantom current running through my hand, even after I swung my legs out of bed and planted my feet on the cold floorboards. My throat felt tight, dry. It wasn't just a dream. Something had reached through. The tingling lingered for days. A low-grade hum in my palm, a constant reminder of the dream, of the thing that had invaded my sleep. I felt even more tired, more fragmented. Like pieces of me were eroding. I started noticing things around the house, too. Small things. A strange smell, like wet earth and burnt leaves, that would drift through the kitchen sometimes, even when no windows were open. Or the way the shadows in the corners of rooms seemed to deepen, to coil when I wasn't looking directly at them. I tried talking to Clara about it, cautiously. Hey, have you been feeling weird lately? Just off? She just shrugged. Nah, same old Black Creek. You just need more sleep. She didn't get it. She couldn't see what I was starting to see. It was my grandmother, Nana May, who unwittingly gave me the first real piece of the puzzle. I was visiting her, helping her with her garden. She lived further up the hollow, in one of the oldest farmhouses, the kind with deep roots clinging to the hillside. She was pruning her roses, her gnarled fingers expertly snipping away dead blooms. You know, she said, her voice raspy with age, your great-great-aunt, Alara, she had the sight, they used to say. Our family, on your granddad's side, we got a long line of sensitives. I'd heard bits and pieces of this before, the old stories, but always brushed them off as Appalachian folklore. Healers, some called M, she continued, looking out over the valley, always a woman in each generation. They could feel the land, draw on it. Not like a doctor, mind. More, a different kind of mending. I paused, a trowel full of rich, dark earth frozen in my hand. A healer? I asked, a strange prickle starting at the back of my neck. Yeah, Nana May nodded, a faraway look in her eyes. My mama, your great-grandmother, she had it too. Could ease a fever with just a touch, some said. She knew the plants, the roots, the old ways. But it's been quiet since her. Your generation, no one's really shown the signs yet. Shame, too. The land needs tending. She looked at me then, really looked, her eyes sharp and knowing, and a shiver ran down my spine. You've been looking. Peaky, child. Like something's pulling at you. It hit me then. The white figure at the door. The glowing ball of energy in my dream. The tingling. It wasn't exhaustion. It wasn't just stress. This wasn't about me going crazy. This was about them. My family. This lineage. This power. And the white figure at the door, it wasn't a ghost. It was something else. A gatekeeper. A summons. That small, isolated community Nana May spoke of, the old ways, it was all connected. This wasn't just my house. This was their land. And I was part of it. A piece of a puzzle I never knew existed, suddenly clicking into a terrifying, inescapable hole. The air around us felt suddenly heavy, charged. Not with electricity, but with something far older. Something waiting. The revelation about the healer lineage didn't bring clarity, it brought a new kind of terror. This wasn't some random haunting. This was destiny. And it felt less like a gift and more like a cage closing around me. The fatigue deepened, becoming a constant, heavy cloak. I struggled to concentrate, my thoughts hazy, fractured. Every time I tried to talk about it, really talk about it, to Clara or anyone, the words felt like grit in my mouth, impossible to form. Like the air itself was too thick for them to pass. I tried calling my aunt who lived a few valleys over, just to hear a normal voice, someone outside of Black Creek's gravitational pull. But my phone wouldn't connect. Just static. Every single time. Like the hollow itself was eating the signal. I started seeing the white figure more often now, not just a flicker. In the periphery of my vision, a tall, shimmering sentinel. Standing at the edge of the woods behind my house. Peeking around the corner of the barn. Sometimes, when I was alone in the kitchen, I'd catch its reflection in the dark glass of the oven door. Always silent. Always watching. It didn't feel malicious, not exactly. It felt expectant. Like a shepherd guiding a lost lamb. But I was no lamb. And this shepherd felt like something ancient, something that didn't care if I wanted to be led. It felt like I was being herded. Towards something I couldn't understand, but instinctively knew to dread. I tried to leave. I packed a small bag, just essentials, enough for a night or two at a motel in the nearest town, maybe an hour's drive. Just to get away, get some space, some normal air. As I pulled out of my driveway, my old pickup truck sputtering, the low-lying fog that always clung to Black Creek seemed to thicken. It wasn't natural. It swirled around the headlights, dense and opaque, reducing visibility to mere feet. The road, usually familiar, became a gray, endless tunnel. Trees on either side, their branches heavy with the mist, looked like grasping claws. The truck's old engine started to cough, then splutter. I pressed the accelerator, but it just slowed, then chugged, then died. Right there, on the winding, deserted road, swallowed by the fog. I tried to restart it. Nothing. Just a pathetic click. I tried my phone again. No signal. Of course. Panic, cold and sharp, pierced through the exhaustion. I was trapped. In the fog. In Black Creek. I got out, slammed the door shut, and stood there, staring into the swirling white. It felt like the fog itself was breathing, alive. I could hear things now. Not distinct sounds, but a low, sustained hum, like a million cicadas but deeper, older. And underneath that, a whisper. A wordless, ancient murmur that seemed to rise from the very earth beneath my feet. I didn't understand it, but it resonated deep in my bones. I was alone. Out here. With the fog. And the hum. And the certain, terrible knowledge that whatever was happening, it wasn't just in my head anymore. It was everywhere. And it was waiting for me. I started walking. No choice. The fog was a solid wall, damp and cold against my skin. I couldn't see the road, just the faint, ghostly outline of the truck receding behind me. The hum grew louder, a deep, resonant thrumming that vibrated in my chest. And the whispers, they weren't just murmurs anymore. They were coalescing, forming faint, shifting patterns in the fog itself. Like faces, gaunt and ancient, barely there, swirling in the mist. They weren't speaking words, not really. It was more like impressions. Feelings. Belong. Inherit. Awaken. Each thought, a cold tendril reaching into my mind. The path beneath my feet changed. It wasn't the gravel road anymore. It was soft, damp earth, covered in fallen leaves and moss. I was in the woods. But these weren't the familiar woods I grew up with. The trees here were different. Taller. Thicker. Their bark gnarled and twisted into grotesque shapes, like tortured figures. And everywhere, etched into the rough surfaces, were symbols. Circles within squares, lines intersecting at odd angles, crude, almost primal carvings. They glowed faintly, a dull, phosphorescent green, pulsing in time with the hum. My hand, the one that had held the electrical ball and the dream, began to tingle again, more intensely now. It felt like it was drawing something from the air, from the very earth itself. Then I saw it. Through a break in the fog, a clearing. And in the center, a circle of standing stones. Not like anything I'd ever seen, not in any history book. These were rough-hewn, almost organic, their surfaces slick with moss and dark with age. And arranged around them, facing inward, were figures. Not human. Not exactly. They were tall, slender, like the white figure from my door, but darker, made of shadow and mist. They were gathered around something. A hollow. A deep, black crevice in the earth, within the circle of stones, from which the hum, the whispers, and the earthy smell now emanated with overwhelming force. My legs moved on their own, a terrible, magnetic pull drawing me forward. I was a puppet on unseen strings. As I stepped into the clearing, the spectral figures turned, their featureless faces tilting towards me. Their presence was a cold weight pressing down on my chest, stealing my breath. And then, from the hollow, a pulse. The white energy, like the ball in my dream, but monstrously larger, erupted from the earth, swirling, coalescing, forming a column of pure, blinding light. It pulsed. And with each pulse, the light infused my tingling hand, traveling up my arm, burning through my veins, igniting something deep within my core. It wasn't pain, not exactly. It was filling. Overwhelming. Like being plugged into something ancient and terrifying. My vision swam. My senses overloaded. The whispers roared now, a chorus of ancient voices, all speaking through me, to me. I was one of them. I was the healer. But not of wounds or fevers. Of something darker. Something tied to the land, to the hollow, to the silence that had settled over Black Creek like a shroud. I looked down at my hands. They were trembling, covered in a faint, shimmering white light, the same energy from the dream. But it wasn't just my hands. It was everywhere now. My entire body felt like a conduit. A living, breathing vessel for something immense. I could feel the earth beneath me, vibrating with an ancient power. I could feel the whispers, clawing at the edges of my sanity, telling me what was mine to do. What was mine to become. And I knew, with a certainty that chilled me to the bone, that I would never leave Black Creek again. Not truly. Because Black Creek, and the hollow, were now inside me. And it was hungry. It was always hungry.